This film, I just wanted it to flow forward, like a river, like anything that's just a moving force. This film was going to move down the road like that because this is the journey the character was on. Ernie Hudson has only worked on sort of big Hollywood blockbuster, either TV shows or films. So he, and a lot of the other actors, Sandra Dee Robinson, before she was married, her name was Sandy Ferguson. I mean, she's a big soap actress, you know, on General Hospital and, you know, whatever those shows are. I mean, she was sort of the star of all of those.
She was looking for an opportunity to take her career in a different direction. And so Phil and her knew each other. She brought a very intense, dramatic feel to her role. And she has a real presence to her on screen. Her and Ernie there was a lot of tension with the character between Marcus Wells and Emily, his wife. They worked really well off of each other. I mean, they pulled their performances out of one another.
Emily, I swear there is not one single photograph of our family on that table. Not one. You just tell me why. I don't understand it. Tell me. You may not give a damn, but when it comes...
It's ridiculous. It's not a dog brush. We don't even have a dog.
There was just a real intensity to it.
I have to make money. I make money so you can live like this.
Doug Jones, who was supposed to be in the movie, who actually is in the movie, but he's not on camera. He plays the voice of Charlie.
Who are you? Who are you? You know who I am. Just ask Sarah.
He was supposed to be on camera, but he was called away for a little film done by Guillermo del Toro called Pan's Labyrinth, which he played Pan. Then we have Billy Zabka, Dean Bahar, Ron Gilbert, who played the guys in The Office. Outstanding. I mean, Billy Zabka, I haven't seen him play a role like this. He played the nemesis in The Karate Kid. You know, he's played a lot of parts like that. And there's a whole nother side to Billy. He's a very thoughtful filmmaker and producer in his own right. And he really brought a wonderful presence to his role.
Look, obviously you're having trouble focusing after your loss.
Don't get defensive, Marcus. Happens to the best of us. I mean, we understand.
In reference to the UD report, the raw data was prepared correctly for you when it was handed to you a month ago.
Frankly, it was the summations. I mean, the organization, it was like...
It's unsound.
It was a very cold feel of all the guys in the office. They didn't show a whole lot of emotion and compassion, and they just kind of let Ernie know what they needed to know. Billy really did a great job with that, and so did Dean Bahar with his reactions, because Dean Bahar is mostly known for his comedic acting. He was in Basketball, and he hasn't played a role like this, and he did an outstanding job. And Ron Gilbert was motionless for most of the scene, but when he moved, it was in such a calculating and deliberate way, you know, like a person in this role would do.
We need you to take some time off.
He was just amazing. But, you know, these guys are all seasoned. We massaged that scene in post-production, because I also am the editor, with Phil. So much. That office scene was one of the longest to cut, but it's one of our favorite scenes.
Charlie's coming back to kill me. What do you think of that?
I see this kind of thing all the time.
Jodie Schilling, and she's on, you know, like That's So Raven and like TV stuff. You know, all of these actors were sort of like, you know, just not sure like what we were doing. And typical coverage, like wide, mediums, close-ups, that to me doesn't feel like a train moving forward. It feels like we're stopped. I mean, there's nothing wrong with shooting a film this way. It just wasn't the film we were going to shoot. So there was no coverage. There was none, which is the wide shots and the close-ups and the mediums and this. So on set, the actors were very suspicious of like being a part of this film. I think once they were in it, no one knew. Now the crew was into it just because it was different and then it was fun for them. But when you're an actor, you're concerned about like how you're gonna look, and everyone was doing this movie either for no money or little money because they believed in it, so everyone sort of was investing their time, and I think people were concerned, you know, rightfully so. Ben, our AD, who was very good. The first night, he came up to me and he said, hey, Phil, you know, Ernie's really concerned. You know, you're not shooting any coverage. And I said, yeah, I know I'm not shooting any coverage. And he's like, yeah, you sure you don't want to shoot some? Maybe let's just get a few close-ups. Let's get a few. And I said, no, I don't want to get any. And I went up and I addressed Ernie. He didn't want to talk about it. He's like, oh, no, I'm sure you know what you're doing. Nobody knew what we were making when we were doing it. And only when it was done, and I showed it to Ernie at his house, he said, now I understand.